A beautiful afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us on the program Woman to Woman. Woman to Woman is the show where we have real conversations about issues that matter to women, to families, and the society at large. I am Ameze Bazwaye. Today we are shining the spotlight on a topic that is often overlooked, but it is absolutely essential: the role of men in maternal and child care. Traditionally, pregnancy, childbirth, and of course, child rearing have been seen as a woman's responsibility strictly, while men are expected to provide financial support from the sidelines. But research and, of course, real-life experiences have shown that when fathers are actively involved from pregnancy through childbirth and, of course, beyond, the benefits are enormous, not just for the child, but for the mother, the family, and the society as a whole. From reducing maternal stress and, of course, improving child development to strengthening family bonds, male engagement in this process is not just an option. It's, for me, a necessity. However, cultural norms, lack of awareness, and even workplace policies often discourage men from playing an active role. So how do we break these barriers? How can we encourage more fathers to be present, to be supportive, and to be engaged? And what are the practical steps that can be taken to ensure that men are not just bystanders, but of course they're active participants in maternal and child care? To help us unpack and, of course, discuss this critical conversation, we're joined by a passionate advocate for youth and community development, talking about Doris Ogbefun. She is the founder and executive director of the Society for Empowered Youth Development. She has worked extensively in promoting family and, of course, social welfare. And I can dare say that she has the strong backing of women out there, because she always tries her best to fight for women there. So, of course, let's redefine fatherhood in the 21st century today. Welcome on board, Doris Ogbefun. It's nice to have you here on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much. So without wasting much time, we're going to dive into the topic of discussion. Like I said while I was talking earlier on, a lot of times we tend to see that it is the women that are focused on child birth, child development, child raising, and all of that. So we're going to be looking today at how fathers can be more involved. The narrative is that it's a woman thing. When it comes to taking care of the children, it's the woman. How can we make the men more involved in it, from the process of pregnancy up until when you're raising the children?
Okay, we really need to be intentional in bringing up our male children, the boys now. It's nice to catch these young people at early age,
yes,
so that by the time they grow, it becomes part and parcel of them. So we need to bridge the gender gap, in the sense that we need to handle and dismantle the strong patriarchal system in Nigeria, where we see a gender role as something that is discriminatory. Yes. We bring up our children, training them to be able to handle all tasks in the home, and as well be able to love one another, love their sisters, and also make it mandatory that you have to do a shift in their minor house chores. It starts from there, to groom them to understand that doing house chores is not meant for women alone.
Yes.
So we are trying to build a society where equality starts from home. Families need to begin to train children, responsible men and women, for the society, because the community, family is a small unit of the society. So whatever the family dishes out, it turns out to be what the society will receive. So by the time we start from home, we start from families, things is going to turn around. Again, our society being very strong in terms of valuing men to be the head, considering the cultural, religious, and societal background, where in Africa men are seen as the head and women should be the neck. So you should be submissive to your husband. You should be responsible in taking care of your brothers and taking care of house chores at home as the girl child that you are. By the time we begin to stop those things, stop those harmful cultural practices against women, we begin to breed healthier society for all. Society where by the time these guys, these young boys grow up, they begin to engage as men in order to boost or tolerate or a kind of have an environment where everybody is respected, irrespective of your sex, irrespective of your gender. You will be equally loved and respected the way you are. So that is exactly how it should be. And by the time we do so, you know, we will now reduce familiarization of poverty.
Okay, I love the fact that you said it's important that we start from the home. Because in some homes, you get to see that they're shouting at the young girl, why are you lying down in the room? You have not done your house chores, you've not done anything. Whereas the boy is watching football or playing and nothing is being said to him. Highest, maybe go and wash daddy's car. That's his own job. Or go and join daddy to put on the generator and all of that. It's like from little, they're already learning that this is what women do, this is what men do. And it's something that even our mothers should actually enforce, because we are the ones suffering these things. And so if you can train your boys to be better men, then definitely in the future, we'll have less of these situations. Now, fatherhood and pregnancy, okay? Studies show that when fathers are actively involved during pregnancy, it leads to increased participation in the whole life of the child. Generally, there are better health outcomes for both the mother and the child. If your husband is actually helping you while you're undergoing pregnancy and, of course, the early days of childbirth, I think it helps to reduce the stress on the woman. So what do you think are the specific ways that men can provide meaningful support? Let's start with pregnancy at first. Meaningful support during pregnancy for a woman.
First and foremost, emotional support. A pregnant woman is, most women, when they are pregnant, they are easily depressed. You know, it's not all about, it does not end with provision of money. I know that some men don't even provide the money per se, yes. But emotional support, psychological, emotional, and spiritual support is the baseline here. And you know you can't give what you don't have. It's something that you grew up to learn, either from home, or it's important you learn it from home, then from school and your exposure. You will also be exposed to know that pregnancy is not an easy task. It's not something that you just have to jettison the woman to champion. You understand? So it's something that you have to be there. You have to provide your time. You have to make yourself available. You have to also make sure that the resources, the means, and the wherewithal is abundantly present at home. You might not be a rich man per se, but at least show concern. Concern in the sense that don't allow her to overstress, because the pregnancy on its own is a burden of stress. So you adding your own additional stress to her. Let's say, you know, there are men that are abusive in nature, that cannot tolerate. And women, when they are this pregnant, you begin to see a whole lot of reactions. Some of them do have go gaga, let me just put it that way, you know, triggered by pregnancy, hormonal issues begin to manifest. So those manifestations, medically or biologically, those changes that women experience during pregnancy also affects their level of reasoning and psyche. So if we are not the patient type, even if you are not a man, maybe you are the house caregiver or something like that, you are not the patient type, and you happens to be close with such a person, you always feel irritated and maybe results to becoming violence against the person. So what it requires here is education, mentorship, counseling at every stage in your marriage, in your family. It requires counseling because nobody knows it all. You must have someone you look up to. Try to make sure that the person you are looking up to is equal to the task. Don't go and look up to someone that you are better off, you are better than. Yes, it helps a lot. So by the time you entangle yourself, you engage yourself in this type of routine, trying to have that understanding become an understanding husband, that, oh, it is not necessarily to drop money for this woman. I have to play a role in terms of sharing house chores with her. There's nothing as sweet as when you have a man at home who can be able to at least prepare one or two things for himself, prepare dishes when he thinks that it is necessary. Maybe you are not that opportune, or you don't have that time to do it. He can step in to bridge that gap. So, you know, it's only a man that is well brought up that can be able to fit into this role I am talking about, because our society, the way we see it, we see gender role as something that, oh, basically women supposed to be the one to handle things like this. Man should be the one to do this. But you grow up in a home where things are neutral, things are handled equally. You will not find it difficult to rendering assistance to your partner, rendering assistance to your spouse when the needs arises. So you begin to see such home well balanced. Then on our own too, we need to also embrace this men engagement. Men engagement in the sense that we need to also begin to rise up in different capacity to engage that men, because fighting for or glamoring for gender equality does not necessarily mean it should be women to champion it. Men also have a role to play. They have a role, they have to step in to balance this that we are talking about, because their participation cannot be overemphasized. We also need them. We are all human. They have a role to play, because it's not just us women that should be the one to be saying, oh, it is supposed to be like that. I know that men also feel it. Responsible men out there feel it. They understand what it takes to build a home, a sweet home. Let me put it that way. It might not be perfect home, but at least a comfortable home. They know what it means, and they know the work they put in order to balance it. Because you do not, if you are fortunate to have a working class, a career wife or a career partner, whom you know that this is her routine, this is the time she uses to go to work, this is when she comes back. You do not, don't even expect her to come back and begin to face the same gender role that society have structured it to be. You can step in to help her, to ameliorate and relieve her from stress, from pain. Let me just put it that way. You know, that is when you will win this woman's full respect and love. But by the time that you see yourself as the head, the king, decision comes from you alone. You don't need her input in taking decision. You don't need her contribution in whatever you want to do. That becomes a fracas. And now, even when she's pregnant, when she's an expectant mother, she's not the one who's supposed to just be an expectant mother. You too should be an expectant father. Yes, both of you should be in the same shoes. You should share the same pain with her. You should equally share the same stress. So when there is time for her medical appointments, and could even be the one to remind her.
Aside from reminding her, you know, if you go to hospitals where you're taking antenatal classes, you hardly ever see a man there.
I think not
even the hospital will tell you, Oga, wetin you dey find for here, they go your house. Like the nurses there, I have experienced that. I've seen a nurse tell a man, wetin you dey find, you see your mate for here. And I feel like if more men are exposed to these antenatal classes, they can actually help their wife.
Exactly.
And it makes it so much easier. Imagine a husband saying, have you packed your hospital bag? What is left? What have you done everything that they asked you to do? Have you gone to do your scan? Or not? A man that knows what
actively
he's supposed to
participate.
Yes. So don't you think it's something we should look out for? Like more men should be going for antenatal classes. You said something about it not being healthy or so.
No, I mean, a responsible man
must go or
should be able to understand the need for him to be present in terms of those hospital appointments, antenatal care, and even postnatal care. The man should be actively participate, because it will help a lot. It's not by giving her money and dropping her off the hospital and you zoom off and go your way. It does not end there. Just once in a while, maybe once in a month or something like that, create time to be there, so that when they are also teaching her on how the lifestyle, the healthy lifestyle she needs to engage on, you should be able to also know your own healthy lifestyle. You should equally be able to engage on. I have seen couples, I have seen cases where the woman suffers miscarriage, maybe because she did not understand what she needs to do. You know, in pregnancy there are certain, I'm giving an example now, certain stage where they will say there is placentation, and sometimes it depends on your own case. Doctor might even advise you to stay away from sex and stuff like that. So when your husband is not there to hear this himself, when you tell him at home, it will be as if you are denying him the conjugal rights. So I'm just using this as an example. By the time he actively participates in this process, it helps to build that knowledge, to help the family to cope when it is necessary. And when the baby arrives too, you know, postnatal care for the mother and the child is another Herculean task. And even the child care now will set in. So by the time the man also actively engage or get involved in these processes, we begin to breed and groom healthier children, responsible, smart, and healthier children. Not children that will learn how to abuse their future wife because they always see their father abusing their mom. Not children that will be as toxic as you are. At least by the time you show that love and respect, your children will grow up learning such thing, how to build sweet and fantastic home. So it begins from there. Whatever action that you put up will help in shaping the future of your next generation. That is the essence why men engagement in this whole thing, both in childcare and even in building a healthier society, and even the gender equality we are talking about, is very sacrosanct. Because in Nigeria, it's not just women alone, it's not just all about one sex. When we talk about gender, it's about just what the society constructed it to be in terms of our characteristics. Otherwise, there is no big deal about it. What is important here is, are we living the life worth living, understanding humanity the way it's supposed to be, and stepping in when it is necessary for you to step in, knowing your boundaries too. When it is necessary for you to have a boundary, you will have a happy, a healthier society to live in.
Okay. Let me draw you back a little, just on a lighter note. When we're talking about the antenatal care of a thing, and I said that it should be enforced that most men should go for antenatal classes with their pregnant wives. Something just clicked in my head. There's a social media personality. She usually posts videos of her telling her husband, I know the husband is aware and it's just all a skit, but she usually tells the husband, they say we should pay for this, they say we should pay for that. So I'm just thinking, like, if we push for this, most of those women who say they say we should pay for, whereas they did not say we should pay for anything, what will happen to them?
That is fraud. How do I call it, irresponsibility? Also, it's not good enough. That is a very bad character. Is not worthy of emulation. But I'm not even talking about because they ask us to pay this or pay that. I am talking about building a healthier home front, having a healthier society for everyone to live in. So you as a man, understanding your duties, your responsibility in the home, honestly, will help you a lot in life to build the next generation you will be proud of. My dear, if you fail to do the right thing, I think you will now be paying lawyers to defend your children at old age. Yes, it's a fact. It's a fact. So it is very, very fundamental that men get involved in everything that has to do with the society. In everything that has to do with pursuing and achieving gender equality, men has to get involved. Men has to be engaged. That is why you see the UN Women, they came up with a global program they called He for She. Is to create this awareness that men also should live up to this expectation. You know, there are still other alliances that also around the world that also engage men in this process, because we need to, it's a collective responsibility. We need to all work together as one. We need to synergize to have a healthier society, because this gender equality we are talking about, it's for the good of all of us. If we have it, it means that we are engendering sustainable development. If we have it, it means that we are ending familiarization of poverty. If we have it, it means that we are breeding a very fantastic generation that we all will be very proud of. So why are we now, it's not a big deal for we to say, man, take responsibility from the home. Why this topic is very vital, very fundamental, is that the home is, like I said earlier, is the smallest unit of the society. So it is important we look inwards. It's important we consider from the home. Whatever happens in the home translates to the society. So by the time we tackle it from the home, we will not have lesser problem to combat with in the society. You know, when you tackle this, it also snowballs to have a society where we begin to have issues of juvenile delinquency up and down. Yes, because these children, when you look at their background, you see a background, most importantly, absence of father, this and that, broken home, all those stuff. You know, we really need to look inwards to make amends, make corrections, to be able to have society. You know, in Nigeria, why it is also very difficult to have or to control or curtail out of school children, have street children, you know, why it is difficult for us to address that problem is because we lack the social child care support. This child care support supposed to be something that can come in to ameliorate sufferings of nursing mothers and the infants that they are taking care of. So, assuming we have this social care support and our social department is living up to their responsibility, yes, this problem will not be turning out children who will become, delinquents in the society. So, now, those gaps that exist in our society, because normally every child within certain age, basically very important, just like UNICEF is more interested in children from age 1 to 5, their welfare and the welfare of their mom. Assuming our social department lives up to responsibility, these are people who are supposed to be tracking families, to check on these nursing mothers, to check on these children, their welfare, their well-being, how they are doing, you know, then give feedback, encourage the mothers.
How easy is that in Nigeria? I know abroad you get to have hotlines that you can call. You can call to report to your neighbor and say, this family, they are not taking good care of these children. But in Nigeria, we don't really have such a platform.
Because they are not up and doing. They are not living up to expectation. I don't know if it is insufficient funding, inadequate funding that causes it. I don't know if it is laxity from the people saddled with this responsibility. But trust me that those services are not there to families. Those services are not there. These people are those who are supposed to be visiting these homes. Check from the hospital when a baby is delivered. You continue to have an appointment, interaction, visit this family. Are they really taking care of the children the way they are supposed to be? Like the child care support I mentioned earlier, government as well, because taking care of the child ought not to be the responsibility of the parents alone. Because if you look at our society today, the social welfare services currently are no more there for the citizens. So it becomes very difficult. The aftermath effect of all these lacunas from the government boils down to the family. You begin to see children doing street trading. You begin to see children dropping out of school. You begin to see children, like the female ones, being forced to go into early marriages. So these are problems that these gaps, pockets of gaps up and down in the society, from the angle of the government and even as well the society, do create. At the end of the day, you see us struggling and battling to control problems that we know that it could be avoidable in the first place.
All right, so before we round off the show, I just want you to give your final words. Let's talk to men out there. Earlier on, I think in your opening statement, you made mention of the fact that there are some men who already know that they should be more involved. But some of these men that know, they feel they should be more involved, they don't necessarily know what to do, what role they should play. What would your advice be to such persons?
Always make yourself available to learning. We have social media now. Choose the information that is very vital to you, informative messages that you think you can learn from, because social media is so broad, the good and bad are there. So try to align yourself to the one you think that you can learn from. And again, try to do what? Show your wife the support that she needs. Show your sister the support that she needs. Make yourself a very responsible man and always be there to bridge the gender gap. Do not give room for gender role to make you to begin to have ego, in the sense that you begin to oppress your sister at home or maltreat your wife at home because you are the head, so to say. So just see yourself as a human. Also use the same lens to equally look at every other person around you, irrespective of their gender or sex. You will see yourself becoming a very responsible man.
All right, thank you so much, Doris Ubefun, for being on the show. I love every single aspect of what you said. I love the advice you gave as well, and the key areas that you noted, especially as regards men's engagement in, of course, women and child health. Thank you so much, and I really do hope you'll be here some other time.
Thank you
Let's
so
talk a little bit more about things that should be changed in our society as regards women and, of course, the family life as well. My name is Ameze Bazwaye. This has been Woman to Woman right here on Independent Television. I'll be here same time, same station for another exciting episode of the program. So stick around.